And we're live. Welcome to another episode of Squeezy Sports. And today, I'm joined by the Honorable Sihle. How's it, Njayam?
Wow. Just because the
Yeah.
team making Chaile, saying you honorable because you thought I wouldn't make it. It's okay. But anyway, thanks for asking. I'm very good, my guy. Thank you very much.
Yeah, come on. It's not like we're not friends. Besides us supporting different teams, there's still that level of respect. That's the reason why you honorable Sihle.
And I'm wearing black. I didn't realize I was wearing black the whole day.
Oh,
but anyway.
I know black is beautiful, my G. Don't
Oh, black is pretty too. But anyway.
No. Yo, shots fired on your end. You firing shots on your end.
No, it's cool. I'm at peace with it, my guy. But how are you doing, man?
I know, I'm good, bro. I'm happy. It would have been nice if Juventus beat I forgot who they were playing, Atalanta. Then that would have been all three of my teams caught W's, but we take what we receive. I mean, you saw Man United.
I thought you were also a Madrid fan, so you would have been happy that they are cruising down.
You see, with me, I just admire Madrid as to how they run, and how consistent they've been over the years. It's just that I just have respect for the club. I wouldn't say I'm a supporter of it. I mean, when CR7 played for Madrid, I supported CR, even though my goat is Messi. I like the way Messi plays. Stylistically, he's what I like. But I mean, CR7.
Are you ready to start such a conversation on a Monday?
No, it's fine. It is what it is. I mean, just because the guy represented United, it doesn't mean that I can't respect
the truth.
A guy
the truth shall set thee free.
Exactly. And as well, Messi stayed chowing Man United, bro. All the time. I don't think Messi has ever lost to United, bro.
Every time Barca has to travel to Old Trafford,
I know, bro. Even in the finals, I mean, remember 2 finals, we got our asses handed to us. Then there was a time we drew them I think in the lockout stage. It wasn't embarrassing, but we lost. Moral of the story is that it was an L, and we kept moving. I mean, I just like Messi as a pure footballer. I mean, I like number 10s, I like playmakers, and so
that's why you and I get along. Everyone argues about the both. They're good in their own right, but 100%. There's that untouchable or a corner Messi. It's like literally it's a gift that was just given from above. With the way he reads the game, the way that he understands the game, and when a younger Messi was quick, the older he got, he lost the pace, but the understanding of his limits and what he can do was there. So for me, there's Messi and there's the rest.
Yeah, it is what it is. I'm sure even Onke can agree.
It's my opinion. And then
it's the rest. Onke can agree.
What am I agreeing with?
Messi that has won the World Cup, and then there's the rest of us.
Yeah.
Oh yes.
Yeah. Definitely. Like Leo, dog, we can't even fight that, bruh. Especially us who support English teams. Do you know how many goals this guy has against English teams, bruh? I think that song,
I posted last week. I was watching the highlight of his goals against Real Madrid.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't think we are yet at the age of comprehending what it is that we are watching. Like we are not there yet. We are stuck on the debates online and the banter and all that. The miracle of football that Lionel Messi was is the most underrated thing I think in football even today. Like Eden Hazard said it. He said fans have fallen out of love with the magic of football, and I think
that's deep. That's deep.
Fans have started to focus on results, goals, GA, numbers, and all of that. they've fallen out of love with the magic, how magical football can be, the magical players of football, because it became, who has this many trophies, who has this many what and what, but we don't actually take in the football itself. We don't want to fall in love with
and
the
I think
process.
both of you are going to remember this. Barca versus Chelsea, and they at the bridge. There's a player called Ronaldinho. Chelsea at this time is coached by Mourinho. They've got literally the best defense in the league. Where Bakshani won, and then they packed the bus. Yeah, and they packed the bus. Barcelona is struggling breaking up this wall. Kuno Genteri, Kuno Cahill, who's the other? I'll remember the other two.
It wasn't literally. It was Carvalho.
It was Carvalho. Yes. Thank you. It was Carvalho. Ebola comes in. This guy is outside. Peter Cech at the time. Peter Cech, he didn't mess about. Like Peter Cech Prime, short on target.
Was the best keeper. He was the best keeper in the Premier League, bro. Let's just
thank you. This ball comes in.
Yes. At that
this
time,
ball comes
I
in.
can admit.
Yes, the ball comes in. This guy is outside the box. Meaning it's outside the box. Now he lying. Two defenders are on him. He gets the ball first touch. Well, like literally kills the ball first touch. He decides to do what Brazilians should be doing all the time when they play football. He dances.
Yeah.
He dances. I'm defender me. I'm landed. How he chips the ball. He chips Peter Cech goal. Silence at the bridge.
Peter Cech said
that's art.
Peter Cech said about that goal. He looked at his thighs. Because what he was doing, he was feinting with his thighs. And he got both defenders to basically try to block. So he could place the ball properly in the corner. And you don't see that. Today,
Uspani said the two defenders. Yeah, Uspani said the two defenders as a smoke to keeper.
Yes.
Keeper is constantly looking like this.
Yeah,
he can't see the ball.
And the thing is, whoever at the time, I'm a huge Chelsea fan. But if Muntu Kora like that, what? There's nothing you can hate on.
I mean, what can you do?
Sabugama replaying this guy is dancing in front.
It is what
it is. We don't love football like we used to. We don't love magic. I remember reading a thread from this other guy who was trying to hate on Dr. Khumalo. And I'm like, do you understand, Guti? Ekasi, when I was growing up, if they called you doctor, it meant you are the man.
Yeah.
There were very specific names, ne? There were Abom Kelele, the runner. Fire. If you fire Ekasi or Ulento Kelele, you are a runner. Futa Kelele were dark and they were runners.
Yeah.
Abo Ace, about 96.
Yeah.
You can't take the ball off him. Abo Dr. Mfetu were the stylish ones. The ones that was embarrass a dog about Dr. Labo. Then go back on Abom Chicho. Like Ekasi, there were different nicknames. Abo Polen, Abo Polen. Yeah, Abo 16.
You don't name yourself. You don't name yourself like us. People forget that.
Don't.
You don't give yourself a name.
And that magic, it's gone now. It's gone completely. I remember Nkula, ne? I played striker, I played midfield. When I was playing striker, I played striker later actually, I played midfield. When I was playing midfield, I didn't have a nickname. When I played striker, they used to call me Adriano. This is when Adriano was young at Inter. They used to call me Adriano. I wanted to be called Vavavoom, Thierry Henry. That's what I wanted to be called. So I had, my dad was a United fan. He liked Arsene Wenger. So he was like, I'm not going to have a son who supports this Chelsea spaza shop. He bought me a yellow JVC Arsenal t-shirt. And then I painted it 14 emuva. And then I wrote Vavavoom underneath. This is when the Renault Clio ad was out.
Yeah.
I wrote Vavavoom
the 1.2.
Yes, I wrote Vavavoom ngaphansi. I really wanted everyone to call me Thierry Henry, but they ended up calling me Adriano because I was big. So they called me Adriano, because already we had Ronaldo, who was older than me. Yeah, well, so I couldn't take the Ronaldo part of it. But that is how you gained your notoriety in the hood. Today, that thing doesn't exist.
It's the minute you start adding math on a lot of things, whether it is when a business we need to start making saving in mind. I don't know if you guys are into aviation, so I'm huge. I love from like very early childhood. I've always loved like the whole thought of something that's huge, that's in the sky that no one can explain. So right now, what's his company? Boeing is Boeing in the 80s went and got into a merger. Boeing first and foremost was made by engineers.
Yes.
And I'll try to shorten the story as quickly as possible. So Boeing was made by an engineer. This is like 19 whatever. So your company corner. They had a slogan, if it's not Boeing, I'm not flying it. Meaning, the product itself was first engineering and then later profits. And then later on, they merged with another company called William Douglas. William Douglas was huge into contract, military contracts and whatnot. And going to push a share price. So over the years, the merger seemed to favor William Douglas more than it favored Boeing. And what happened is William Douglas started controlling. And when I remember, they're pushing the shareholder value, and that eats away at the engineering appreciation.
Aspect.
Okay.
Yeah.
In the last, I think that it happened like a month, if not 2 months ago. A plane is in the air. It's a Boeing plane and whatnot. Umnyango randomly just opens. No one is close by, and right now it's a whole thing. William Douglas has focused so much that they were cutting costs. In them cutting costs, the core business of what it meant to be Boeing is eroded. It's exactly the same thing where now people are applying numbers and whatnot to football. And it's eating away at the beauty of and the innocence of it. Because there isn't, you look at Ufoden right now, and you're like, wow, he doesn't look English. Because English players shouldn't glide the way that he does. But it's that's how football is played, where it's an expressive sport. But like now everyone is calculating this, calculating that, and it's a way. And yes, you are right, Onkebuti. We lived through a time where football peaked, and as Bonang, we didn't realize that football has peaked. Right now, it's become mathematical.
And I mean, even in this era, I mean, we in the past you never spoke of a player's physical attributes. It was never about that. Ronaldinho was a physical specimen. Yeah, tough, but you'd never, when you describe him, you'd never use his physicality when you describe him. You never said he was the fastest. He was the, you know what I mean? The man was just magical, as you say, on gameplay. And I mean, football is dying out. Eye test is no longer a thing anymore. I mean, we are in the GA era where it's all about getting the GA all the time, and you get rated based on that, and eye test never applies, and so it's very sad, bruh. Really is sad. Yeah.
And this is the problem with when you want to assess players like Abo Nunes, because from a numbers perspective, those players are not giving you what you're looking for. But from a performative perspective, as far as the football that they play, those players are essential to the way you play, to the threat that you possess. The numbers will sort themselves out. And I feel like that's part of the reason I was willing to be patient, even with Timo Werner, because whatever he lacked for the numbers, his threat index was enough to create chances, to create problems for defenses. You know, I remember how much he discombobulated Real Madrid, in defense.
Yeah.
his movement was problematic. Look what he's doing at Spurs now. Creating so much space for Madison, creating so much space for Son, because he's a pest. And we lost the appreciation for those types of players. And I always say, you look at players like about Dirk Kuyt in the days of Liverpool. He wasn't a prolific goal scorer. Nope. But because he was such a problem, as a support striker, that player gives the striker so much. Torres benefited. Crouch benefited from his presence, because you have someone that is occupying the defense when you are not, when you want to find space. It's the same thing that Pep has realized with Foden, with Alvarez. You need other avenues for your attack. You understand that? So that if the defense is focused on one player, that player, they can play him out of the game. That's fine. We will win with another one. Klopp, same thing. If the defense is focused on one player, fine, we'll win with another one. And that is part of the magic that we don't get to enjoy today. Is we are looking at this thing from a numbers perspective. I always love to make the example, how Timo Werner created the goal. We discussed this with Usihle some other time, how he created the goal in the Champions League for Kai Havertz, because Timo Werner is the one that took Ruben Diaz away from mid defense, pulled him out. Ulento plays a ball. Mendy plays a ball to Timo Werner. Timo Werner traps the ball, plays it back to Mason Mount. Mason Mount traps. He sees an entire space open in the City back where Ruben has sacrificed space. Stones is now isolated with Kai Havertz. Kai Havertz has all of that space to run into. So he hit him with the pass. And that is not a stat. You're not going to get that anywhere. You understand? It's not a number that you can place. It's not, but that's part of the beauty of football. It's understanding all of those nuances and also loving what you see. We are a different type of fan today. We are too focused on process. We're too focused on score lines. We're too focused on.
I think just on that. Okay, I wonder how Shakes Kungwane would have fared now as a player.
Dude, even now, like Thomas,
People would call him wasteful. People would call him udlalela maflate, end product, all of that.
But when it comes to passing, distribution, James, no. I wonder how, honestly, right now, because you'd find that there is a player who's able to do that, who's like an image of Ushek Skungwan. It's just the weight is against him. And very quick to like, nope, biggest idea. Because Shakes was...
Because we don't want technical players anymore. We want players
100%.
that are just, they're running and they don't lose the ball. Like, we focus on those things. We focus on players that are easily coachable. I watched Inazad's Lento episode. I'll share it in the group as well. When he was on the John Owen Mikel podcast. And he even talks about his own career to say, I never had coaches that bothered me, because my coaches understood Uguti. When it's time for the work on Saturday, on the weekend, I'm the one that carries the team. He didn't say those words, but basically that's what he meant to say. You can never doubt my performance, my level of performance, my level of commitment. This whole thing of obsessing over let's work hard at gym and whatever, that's got nothing to do with football. Yes, we can talk tactics, we can go through drills and stuff like that. But this thing of, you need to run this many miles, you need to lift this many weights, it's got nothing to do with football whatsoever. You make players robotic and they will play robotic. I said this years back. I said Hansi Flick did a great job with the fitness of the Bayern players when he was there. The problem with military style of training is you make your players inflexible. What happened after that is all those players that were tip-top shape and super fit and Goretzka became like he went from a skinny guy to like a buff nigga and whatever. Goretzka lost all of his technical ability. Goretzka is a liability to the current Bayern team. That's why Tuchel wanted Declan Rice. That's why Tuchel wanted who's this Paulinho as well.
Yeah,
because he needed a defensive midfielder. That's the weakness of the current Bayern team.
It's this whole balance. It's this whole balance that people forget. What you give with the one, you take with the other. You can't take a player. You can't take a player like Pogba. Or Pogba, his structure is that he's quite tall. Let me not use Pogba. Let me use Yaya Toure. Yeah, let me use Yaya Toure. Probably one of my best attacking midfielders who wasn't an attacking midfielder, but anyway. Once Uyaya got going, meaning it's going as if he has the ball and you're a defender and you're going toe to toe with him. He pushes. Once he drives, but Mumbuga, he doesn't have the stature. He doesn't have that Wuti. No, because you go in thinking Wuti you can. Literally, people just bounce off him.
And this is where strength is better than muscle definition. Torre was strong. You don't need muscle definition for that. Lento, Diego Costa, strong. No need for muscle definition.
You bounce off Costa.
You bounce off that guy like Nje. So I think look at the guy who came on for Chiefs on the weekend. Super muscle defined.
Oh yeah.
That boy.
Super muscle defined. We don't need that in footballers, honestly. And this is something that I also noticed even Izol. You see Ulento, Kyle Walker, big guy, muscular guy. Kyle Walker was trained in the Poch regiment. Let's run the whole day. Let's focus on fitness. What that does is it steals all your technical ability. Sure, Shiva, it steals all your technical ability. All you become is a bouncer. Look at what Diaz was doing to him on that side, on the left side. He basically ragdolled him that second half. Ragdolled the crap out of him because he doesn't have the technical ability to defend without using his body or his speed. That's a weakness. It becomes a weakness when you are trained in a regiment that forces you to focus on being muscular. This is why Ronaldo can't dribble anymore, because he focused on building up all of this heaviness and working out hard and stuff like that. That doesn't always benefit your game. It actually weakens you. And footballers have become obsessed with that. Yeah, you need to be in a regiment and stuff. No, football is supposed to be magical. It's supposed to be skillful. It's supposed to have all of those elements within it. There are positions that can be muscular, positions that would need to be a little bit more stocky. Your Vincent Kompany's, your Ruben Diaz, your Virgil van Dijk's. Those guys need to have a little bit more definition about them, so they don't get, handled by strong guys.
Yeah,
it's outmuscled. But if you're talking about a midfielder, a fullback, those guys do not need all of that. They don't. Because for the most part, their jobs will require them to have brains more than brawn. So there's been such a huge focus on regiment, and it's not necessary. Football is losing because of that as well.
Anyway, let's. Sorry, X. Yes, you wanted to say.
I just wanted to mention, man, just in closing for this topic, even when you look at defenders like Luke Shaw and even your defender who usually gets injured, who is this Reece James, how the reason why they also suffer is because they're playing wing back with the sort of physique that they have. You can't be built like a tank.
He's lost weight, by the way.
No, he didn't lose weight. He had surgery there.
Oh, he lost a lot of weight.
Liposuction or something.
Yeah,
he's very skinny right now.
Yeah, but like you see, for me, I feel like it's when you look at a Sergio Ramos at first started off as a right back. I mean, even in Euro 2008, he was the right back for Spain. But because he started developing and became a tank, they moved him to centre back, and that of course prolonged his career. So I just feel like as well, Onke, you make a valid point about this thing of bulking up. Even Fernando Torres, Slim Torres from Liverpool was incredible.
Hungry Torres. He was angry.
beefed up. Then he beefed up because of injuries. He beefed
Yeah.
up. When he beefed up, he slowed down first.
Yeah.
And then he struggled with his scoring form. He struggled at Liverpool. We still bought him for 50 million. And then he never got his form back because you can't change the physique. I want to make a basketball example, ne? Giannis, when he arrived in the NBA, he was skinny. He was a touch scorer. So he used to shoot over the top. Yes, he could drive to the basket and get dunks because of his height, but he was never a big guy. When he started to bulk up, then Giannis lost his scoring touch. So now he looks rigid when he shoots. He can't shoot free throws and stuff like that because his muscles are getting in the way of his touch. And that is exactly what happens to his attacking or skillful footballers. The moment they start to bulk up, they lose all of that. That's a problem.
100%. Yeah.
Mr.
Shivar,
Mr. VAR himself.
Yeah.
Before you even greet us, pen or no pen, you know exactly what I'm speaking of.
It's a pen, guys. We don't argue that.
So
give other kids a chance.
The first time I saw it, I thought on the very first live action, I thought pin. Then I saw replays and I'm like, it looks like he got ball first. What's he supposed to do with his foot? Look, maybe it's not a pin. And at the end of the game, I was like, that can get given. I don't want to see them get given because what's the defender supposed to do?
It's a man of class.
And then, but I also said if it was given against us, I wouldn't really complain, right?
Because it's irresponsible.
It's irresponsible. It's not reckless, right?
Yeah, it's just irresponsible.
But then I looked at Curtis Jones' red card against Tottenham, and then I looked at McAllister's red card against Bournemouth.
You were doing,
and I'm like, okay, maybe it's not a red card, but it is a foul. The difference was that's a terrible angle. Jota was moving his foot away at that point when Kane was there.
Exactly. But I feel like
we lost Onke.
I took him out. He's gone. I'm joking. Okay, don't think I took you out. My view. So the ball comes in, and I'm looking at Doku and the way that he's focused on the ball, and I can see McAllister on the corner coming in. And the first thing that I thought of is if McAllister is clever, he doesn't have to get to the ball, but he has to get close enough to the ball that it raises the question: if the foot touches him, is it a pen or not a pen, or is it a foul or not a foul? Okay.
But even before that, even before that, so first he did get to the ball, but even before that, Doku hesitated.
Yeah, he did. Because
if you look at him, he was like he didn't want to go in, and then he went in late, and that probably made it worse.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And he got to the defender. Okay, the City player touched the ball first. In him touching the ball, his leg was freaking upper body. Normally, we say upper body. Yeah, you have to give it as it's a foul.
So my conclusion was, after everything I just said about it being 50-50, and I can see why it wasn't given, and I believe that where's a defender supposed to put their legs, after I saw those other two red card offenses back again, I said, we can debate whether it is a red card or not. But the fact that these two were given as straight reds mean that it was at least a foul.
Yeah.
Right? Which means it's a pen.
I think the challenge with the Premier League this season is that there's no reflective, officiating. I'll make an example.
I'll tell you what the problem is once you're done.
For the City goal, Nathan Ake screens on the first post. I'm not sure who you were screening, but it's like a basketball
McAllister.
He screens. Yes, he screens McAllister, so McAllister can't track the run of
the run that he's coming with. Yeah.
Yes, and where he's standing, unfortunately for a corner, you can't be offside because he's behind the ball. You would have to be on the line to be offside. But to me, that's a foul. That's obstruction because you're standing in someone's way who's supposed to be getting to the ball. But strictly speaking, it's only obstruction if the player is in possession of the ball. If you have the right to stand your ground, which is precisely what Ake was doing, because Ake didn't move towards McAllister. He is standing where McAllister is trying to go. So it's McAllister that runs into Ake in that situation, which is a very technical, but it reminded me of the offside against Liverpool when we played them in the final, because they ran a similar play for the Van Dijk disallowed goal, where the screen is down
Endo.
on Colwill.
Yeah.
On Colwill by Endo, and Endo was from an offside position, but that's a set piece. So Endo can be offside because the ball is coming from the other side of the pitch, which made sense. But I was like, are they really looking at these as potential fouls or only considering them for offside? Because it felt like it's a bit iffy. The City goal was Liverpool slept there, like zonal marking, no one. They slept in that situation, but it didn't feel like it was supposed to stand.
It's the same thing.
Reaction, but then I had to.
Same thing that all the guys that play against Spurs, whenever they get a corner kick, they literally crowd that poor keeper because they know that he struggles with players around
with him.
With high balls and players around him. So they then screen a keeper. And I disagree with that, with that rule that it's allowed to. But I'm thinking to myself, well, as a keeper, I have to assume a certain position. And me going towards a ball and there's someone who's obstructing me, okay, means I can't get to the ball. And the thing is, they go to the point of literally nudging the keeper. And the keeper gets his hands up. So when you nudge here. That hurts. That really hurts. If you're a defender or any other player, Shofar, you can do this.
Yeah.
I don't disagree with you. I've seen some that are criminal as far as that's concerned. But I've also seen some where the players have already established position in the 16-yard box and the keeper is the one that's playing over them. And then they lose out. I will never say protect the keeper in that situation. But if the player makes a movement to make contact with the keeper, then
that's a different story.
Protected.
Yeah.
In a situation where the 16-yard box is crowded, they are making it possible for them to make contact with the keeper, or the keeper make contact with them and not be penalized for that contact. Because the issue was, if you are running into the 16-yard box and you happen to hit the keeper, then the keeper is protected. Yeah. But if you're already in the 16-yard box, have established position in the 16-yard box, then the keeper can't be protected if you make a movement.
Yeah. Shiva?
So I think that's why teams are doing that. And they have set piece coaches, like the one that they did yesterday, City. That's a coached move. Even Liverpool set pieces are choreographed. They train, they drill them with these
and
things.
They have ref consultants.
I'm not mad at it.
You know that, right?
Arsenal also screens very well for their set pieces. They can screen for the last post, for example. Because when teams are in zonal, for example, that means they are tracking the ball and not players. It's easy to screen those people.
They also have ref consultants. Go for it, Shiva.
Shiva. The Aki thing, right? When you see the ball come in, you can see him sort of shaped facing the ball, but he's looking at his man. And then you see he does actually make a positive movement toward McAllister. He doesn't just stand his ground, right? So standing his ground, I would say we should have done better regardless. But standing his ground, I will say I have no complaints. But he made that move toward McAllister, right? I take your point that the player has to have the ball, right? But if Colwill that one gets flagged offside, where Colwill was not near Van Dijk, but he was making a movement toward Van Dijk. If that is an obstruction, then this is a foul. Because even though McAllister was not in possession of the ball or about to receive the ball, he was making a movement toward the ball. And Aki moved in the opposite direction, basically bundling him away. Right? It looks worse than it is because of their sizes, but the fact is the intent was there. Aki wasn't just there to block. He did make a positive move toward McAllister. On the flip side, that run that John Stones made, that was like perfect execution.
Brilliant.
Like that, he did, like Darwin had no idea what was Nunes on Stones, but anyway.
I said this. Why was he the only one in the 16-yard box? He was the only one in the 16-yard box.
And I was looking for Van Dijk, and it was Kwanzaa that was on Haaland. Van Dijk was a little bit more on the near post, and when he saw that happened, he tried to get into the 6-yard box. So I thought his job was to win the first header there. I personally would have had it the other way around, but I mean, I'm not a set-piece coach. But the fact remains, Darwin was on Stones. Now, Stones is not the most dangerous player in the air, but he is still better than Darwin, right? It's a bit of a mismatch there. I think we should have defended that corner better, but on the other hand, it was so obvious that City studied us and found that little weak point and then exploited it. So you have to give them credit, right?
I think you guys have been very strong aerially as well.
Yeah, and probably that whole thing with Van Dijk and where he is and how he roams, it's probably part of the reason. Because
exactly
after that, like every single ball that came into the box, Van Dijk was there. I'm not understanding it. It's like people are making crosses. He gets on the end. Then he goes out. Another cross comes in. This guy's on the floor. And suddenly he's on the end of that cross as well. I'm like, you know what? I can't really complain about that set piece. It worked for us up until this point. It worked for us in that very game. City found a weakness and exploited it. Sometimes you got to put your hands up. But I'm not too happy about that Aki foul if I compare it to the Colwill offside. I know you can't be offside from a corner.
If the Colwill one was called a foul, I would understand. Because Endo also doesn't look at the ball. Endo looks directly at Colwill and
but
blocks
Endo
it.
does not run toward Colwill.
No, he
Aki does make a positive move. Yeah.
No,
Aki makes a positive motion toward McAllister. So he's basically like body checking him.
Yeah, Endo also moved back as if he was checking for the offside line as well. He made a movement backwards towards Colwill. Hence, Colwill fell. It was that impact that made Colwill fall.
Okay, either way, the point I'm trying to make is Colwill was not the person who was going to win that ball, right?
That's not the point. The point was
the point
doing that he was interfering with play.
But so that's actually the point, because how is Endo interfering with play if Colwill is not in possession, to speak to your earlier point? It's the same thing with McAllister. You can say McAllister was not. Aki was not interfering with play, but McAllister was making a movement toward the ball, just like how Colwill was.
That's fine, but those are two different scenarios. So in your scenario, you want a foul, not an interference with play. In this scenario,
but it is a foul. The only way that's not a foul is if there isn't an interference with play, because he body checks him.
No, a foul is a foul. It doesn't matter if it's against play, with play, it's happening off the ball. It's still a foul. It's
then
not
even more reason to flag that, because he body checks him. Aki body checks him. So that's even more reason to call that.
You're not wrong to body check someone. Body checking is not against the rules.
Nah.
You're not.
Nah, you can't.
He's got a point. He's got a point.
Van Dijk body checked Haaland when he beat him in order for Haaland to be off balance when he shot. You have to body check.
He actually did not body check Haaland there. What he did was it looks like Van Dijk was beaten, but he wasn't, because the moment it looked like he was not beaten. He was not beaten.
It's fine. Let's hear him out. What was he?
The moment it looked like Haaland was away, you noticed that Haaland was off balance. And the reason for that was he was being pushed wide and he tried to get his shot away while he still had an angle. That battle, Van Dijk won that battle.
Yeah, fine. He won the battle. He wins all the time with Haaland. Haaland doesn't bother him at all because Haaland is a box striker. Van Dijk is very strong in the box. If Haaland was a speedster, that would have been a different situation entirely. But Haaland is a box striker.
Here's one more thing, and I was
plus Haaland doesn't
listening
play well in these games.
Yeah,
as well.
I think he's got like one goal against Van Dijk, and that goal was actually for Salzburg or something weird like that.
Yeah, he doesn't. Not just in this game, in the big games, he doesn't play great. United, Chelsea, those are the types of teams he'll dominate and score against. Maybe Arsenal once or twice, but he never really plays or gives the best performances in those games. That's just one of the biggest criticisms about him, even last season, to say from the quarterfinal stage, he didn't score that many goals. City basically won without
what he does do well,
though.
What he does do well, though, is he does put that fear in defenders.
Of course.
Right? That they have to watch him. And yes, exactly. They have to account for him, and that creates space for the players around him, right? So I thought City missed Jack Grealish because I thought he would have exploited that space more. But B, I don't think he put that fear in Van Dijk or Kwanzaa for that matter. For a young kid, we got to hold our hands up for Kwanzaa. He did exceptionally well, right?
I don't think Liverpool did a lot of defending in that game. That's the thing.
Second half.
You just said that we won every aerial ball.
Yeah. I mean,
second
yes,
half, that's where Liverpool came to their own.
That's easy for a tall defender. And Haaland is not the greatest header of the ball as far as winning headers. He's not a Tony. He's not that type of striker. He doesn't even challenge for those balls for the most part. So he'll never challenge you in the air. I see this even when we play against him. You will win those headers. He's not that type of guy that tries to go in for those headers unless he's free. So if you body him for a long ball, he's not going to try and win it. He's just lazy when it comes to that. But let's be honest. Man City was shit in that game. They couldn't defend. Liverpool was all over Man City. All over Man City. In fact, you guys should have scored 5 goals in the first half.
Second half.
Honestly, should have.
In the second half, you guys should have scored another 5. So
what I will say though is on the defending issue, Onke. Before I joined, I was in the car and I was listening to the stream and I was listening to you guys talk about the beauty of football, right? It goes both ways. You want to see beautiful defending as well. And my personal favorite moment of the game was it was the second half. We took a corner. It was when we were on top of City. We took a corner and City won the ball and then we won the second ball. And we recycled and went again. And we did that a couple times. And Van Dijk was in the box the whole time. Then I think the third time, City won the ball. And as they win the ball, you see Van Dijk start sprinting back because he saw the counter. Ball comes to Foden, and Foden now has the entirety of our half like at his mercy. And as he takes his first touch, Van Dijk just slide tackles him out the game. Completely legal slide tackle. I'm like, when did I last see that? And for that little moment alone, he was man of the match for me. Because he
was man of the match for me too. I feel like he had. I
have Endo as my man of the match.
So Endo was the actual man of the match. I think he's the one that got the award. I think so. Yeah.
I feel like Van Dijk had the telling stops when City managed to break the Liverpool midfield. There was an interception he made in the first half where Foden broke free. Not Foden broke free. Bernardo got the ball, I think, in midfield, and as he was shaping up to pass the ball, you can see Van Dijk move from tracking Haaland and running towards Foden, and he slides to block the interception because once he misses that through pass, it's a 2v1. It's Kwanzaa versus Foden and Haaland. That's an easy City goal. So,
but I think also
his ability to find those moments.
But also, okay. You just said if he misses that tackle, it's a 2v1. But did you feel like he was going to miss that tackle?
No.
Did you ever feel like he was not in control of that situation?
That's the other thing. He was such a safety blanket because even when Endo was beaten, you could never tell. You could never tell when Endo was beaten by Bernardo, when Endo was beaten by Kevin or Kovacic in the second half, because
I really wish
he was
Cheese
right
was here.
there.
I really wish Cheese was here, because what I'm going to say is it might appear to be controversial, but it's the honest truth. City has a problem on the right attacking side. Alvarez is not the one.
What you mean the left attacking side?
You mean your left side?
Left. Yeah, and they left.
But it depends on which
on
the opponent.
Bernardo there as well. At one point, Bernardo was on the right. He had no luck as well. I think we must also give credit to Gomez, right? He got torn by Foden early on, and then they realized that, look, Foden is tearing Gomez, and then he can't do anything because every time he tries something, Van Dijk's just mopping up. So then they swapped, and then they put Bernardo there. And then Bernardo couldn't do to Gomez what Foden was doing to Gomez.
Bernardo also didn't have the best of games, if we're being honest. I'm trying to remember a City player.
But
I'm trying to remember a City player that I'll give like an 8, because this was a huge game. This is potential. We're threading at title decider. But I can't find a player that I can say.
The only player that actually made me feel any kind of way was Foden, and obviously John Stones. That was so exquisitely done, and he was really good at the back as well. People are saying Walker was really good, but I'm like, what?
No, Walker appeared.
Diaz was cooking. Walker
chasing. Yeah, he was chasing. Who's that player of yours that missed like 3 chances?
Diaz.
But I feel as though in that game, when Bernardo moved to the left, Conor Bradley started to struggle because they would share him with Alvarez, and Kwanzaa wasn't able to support him because he didn't know whether to go with Alvarez, who was making the in run, or to track Bernardo, who would either go to his left or try to cut in with the right. So I think when that happened, there was some freedom that City started to enjoy. And you could see this freedom as well in the second half when Doku came in. But the challenge that City has is they don't have the right profile as a winger. When they lost on Paqueta, they basically don't have the threat that they wanted to have coming into the season that can assist that side. Because Doku isn't that threat. Grealish as well is not a goal threat. Grealish protects the ball, recycles the ball.
Gets everyone involved.
I don't think they would have needed him to be a goal threat, because I thought that whenever, yes, it was at overload with Alvarez and Bernardo, right?
Yeah.
But that defense was very well marshaled. So even though the overload worked, after it worked, nothing came of it, right?
That's why you need a goal threat.
If it's Grealish in that situation,
he's not going to score with those two that were guarding him there. You needed, like Doku, when he hit the post, you needed it to come from someone else. Foden was.
There are moments where Doku kind of woke up and he understood the assignment, where he was hugging the line.
They
and he was
needed
literally
another outlet. That's what
the thing is.
But I do feel
when we moved Gomez to Joe Gomez, I call him Gomez. When we moved him to right back, he did a number on Doku, but then eventually you could see he struggled against Foden, and then he man-marked Bernardo, and now you're asking him to do Doku. You could see the tiredness creep in, and that's when space opened up for Doku. And why I say Grealish is because when Grealish has that overload, he wouldn't be as rushed. He would take his time a little bit more. He would bring more people into play. And that would cause, even though it's not him creating the chance or him scoring the goal, it would be like the hockey assist. He would play it to like a Foden or someone who then has the ball in a dangerous position and who then can pick out Haaland or Kevin coming in.
I didn't feel like City were able to create even when they were in their normal attacking block in your final third. This is when they were settled in possession and they could keep the ball and play it around. It didn't look like they had, like, Soboslai was playing. His defensive game was proper yesterday.
I was impressed. I was so impressed with him.
That's not what you expect from him. He was
What
pulling in the
that
tackles.
was,
He
that was
was rushing
two
players.
managers going against each other more than two teams, right? Those
I
were the
agree.
two best managers in the league that basically out-tacticked each other.
Pep survived. Pep basically
survived.
Yeah,
Pep
he
survived.
And he knows it. If he's honest with himself, he shouldn't have sold Mahrez, because I do feel Mahrez added that balance that was missing. Because Mahrez just literally hugs the line, and you hoof the ball towards him in any way that you hoof it, and he'll get it down like first touch. And in so doing, he literally spreads out.
Pep doesn't believe in keeping players that ask to leave. That's the problem.
Yeah.
I don't think it's a problem.
Type of manager. He doesn't negotiate. You know what you have at City. If you want to have your career elsewhere, he's not going to stop you.
Yeah.
Because you already know what you've got at City. You know what you are basically sacrificing for whatever it is. It could be the bag. It could be,
But that little bust up that he and Kevin had killed me, because that was top tier. Yeah. Kevin felt he still had minutes in him, and his manager was like, well, it's not working out. Yanked him out, and then as he got out, he was like angry.
Kevin was not having a game, guys.
Yeah?
Kevin was the weak link in that midfield.
Yes. Yeah. And it's a difficult conversation to have.
And also, how do you have, like, a couple of months ago, we were talking about, is Kevin the greatest midfielder to ever play in the Premier League? And I was saying he's in the conversation. So how do you say that to someone who knows he's in the conversation, that, look, my gent, you're the weak link here? I saw a meme where Kevin was shouting at Pep, and the caption said, "That guy with the tooth guard keeps taking the ball away from me."
and it's so sad. It's so sad when you watched it, because I'm like, okay, I get that Kevin is like, I have a moment in me. That's the type of player I am. I don't need to have a great game. I just need to get a moment,
And to be fair, he did have a moment. He had a left foot shot, and I'm like, this guy, doesn't matter whether it's on his left foot, right foot, fucking head. It's the same power, same accuracy, same everything.
There's two moments that I can remember him. There's like one shot that he took, and the keeper literally, that was the second one. The first one, I can't remember now.
There was two, but it was the second one more especially, because when he took that shot, I know it was a good shot because Kelleher couldn't catch it. Even though it was in a catching position, that means the ball came with some spin on it. So that's why he had to palm it away. So I'm like, this guy, he knows what he's doing. I mean, obviously he does. But how do you tell a man like that, look, my guy, you're the weak link here?
It's not working out. And then the king of Egypt comes in. Hold on. The king of Egypt comes in, gets the ball. First pass. Literally tears like Moses opening up, parting up the sea. And he literally just did this. And your player.
But I want to say Ederson's positioning there for the shot that that Diaz was trying to take. Ederson's position made it difficult. He narrowed that angle. If Ederson had continued to track back, I think it was going to be easier, because Ederson tried to sweep, realized I'm not going to get here, and then tracked back and then stopped. When he stopped, Diaz had to take a shot.
Because while he was tracking back, you could see Diaz was shaping for the curler. But when he stopped, people are saying he should have taken it with his left foot. It looks like he should have taken it with his left foot. But you don't see him stopping.
You don't see that he's already shaping up. He was already prepared to place it. But I think in that moment, that's when you're supposed to pause and say, he stopped, let me beat him and then get the goal. Because where he stopped is basically right at the beginning of the box.
But okay, that little split second of clarity is the difference between a very good player and a world-class player.
Fine
moment. That's literally it.
But as well, the modern day ballers can't.
That was great goalkeeping on his part.
But as well, modern day players.
Salah would have scored that. Salah would have scored that because Salah would have.
Salah he can't part the sea like Moses and then still get to the end of the pass and score himself.
That's the thing. That's
someone must have made that pass.
I think Kevin also would have scored that because players of that quality, they see the game differently.
Haaland as well would have that.
I think Haaland would have scored that just because he has this innate finishing instinct. I don't think it's the same. It's the same like.
I think Watkins would have also scored that.
Yeah, because he also like these guys are just natural cold-blooded killers. It doesn't matter what you do in that situation as a keeper. This guy's already seen the gap. He's already shot before you've decided. Right? Well, mentally,
also,
he's already taken his shot.
I also feel like the likes of Salah can take that decision much later.
Yeah.
Buys himself time.
Salah, because he takes so many touches, he basically can run with the ball and have clear vision and change his mind many times on what he's going to do because he's looking at the keeper when he's doing that. So because he's looking at the keeper, you see Diaz is looking at the ball, Salah is looking at the keeper. So the moment the keeper stops, Salah knows exactly, oh, let me beat him. He stopped. He's not going to beat me for pace. And if he tries to dabble with my feet, I'm going to fall to the ground. He gets his second yellow. He gets his second yellow. It's a red.
It's situational awareness, and you can't teach these players that.
No, it wasn't Ederson. I'm wrong. It wasn't Ederson that did that.
It was Ortega.
It was Ortega. Ortega.
On that, okay, like you said, Salah would have done ABC. The original Brazilian Ronaldo, that would be the dream situation for him.
Of course. Oh,
because as soon as it's that, it's like, I've got you now.
Keepers.
And if it was Messi,
the bar way too high, bro.
If it was Messi and the keeper stops, my bad, you're getting dinked.
You're getting
that long one, that disrespectful one, where you can't even raise your hand, but you're standing.
But you see, that's the issue I have with modern day players, bro. Like, you see the guys who you've named. There's a shitload of players in the past who would have scored that shit. Like, even the ones that we don't deem as world class in that era would have scored that. But because
I would argue that Darwin takes that chance.
He does.
Yeah,
he
does.
Because he has that. His finishing is not. Okay, it's hit and miss. Sometimes it's amazing. Sometimes it's not that great. But he has that instinct.
He doesn't
like
your player doesn't like tap-ins. He wants
he wants
the ones where he's gonna take the headline.
He would have went for the dink.
Difficult goals, bro.
He would have went for the dink.
It was a great game.
We would have scored somehow.
It was a great game. To me, that game showed that City is frail, Liverpool is ready, and no one is going to stop Liverpool. I think City could potentially play for another draw this weekend.
I can tell you what the problem with that is, right? We're on a good run, but and I know we're saying, oh, injuries, look at the team we put out, etc., etc., etc. That can only get you so far, right? Bradley is doing amazingly well, but he is not a title-winning right back, right? I can admit that. Kwanzaa as well, he is doing amazingly well, but he's not a title-winning centre back.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Diaz is another one I could argue although in the second half, the way he rinsed Walker, like at one point he gave the ball to Walker and he's like, "Here, okay, you can play with it now," and then he just took it back from him.
He had two players. He had two players on top of him.
Yeah, and both of these guys are on the floor fighting with each other, and my man is running, and I'm like,
he made 2 runs in the second half. The first one was a recovery. City had won the ball, I think, from a corner. And Walker and Foden were trying to play the ball out, basically. And Diaz comes and presses. I don't know who's supporting him. Diaz wins the ball from Foden, dribbles Foden. Walker basically thinks he's beaten him. Diaz beats Walker. Walker recovers. Diaz gives Walker the ball, takes it from Walker, and then manages to get inside the box. The second one was the best one. The one from the corner, where it's a counter. Diaz is basically, he's stuck at that point. I think it's was it Rodri on his thigh? Already on
It was
recovering.
Rodri.
It's
It
Rodri
was
or
Rodri.
Stones. It
It
was
was
Rodri.
Rodri. It was Rodri.
Walker is sweeping. Yeah, Walker is sweeping that move. He beats Rodri, gets some space from Rodri, but because Walker is there, Rodri manages to recover. So he's got two of them. He hits this drag between the two of them, where he leaves the ball behind almost. When Rodri tries to get the ball, he pushes it right next to Walker's foot. So now he's gone around Walker. And then Walker recovers because he's great at recovering. That's one thing you can't beat Walker at, recovering. He recovers. As soon as he recovers, he gets the ball.
Ball is gone.
He gets the ball off Walker, and then he gets to the byline. When he gets to the byline, hey, he hits Walker with this other "show me your number." Walker
he sacrificed him to Cruyff
completely.
That was funny.
I enjoyed that. I really enjoyed that.
When it crosses, it hits Walker's head. It's out for a corner, and that's when Liverpool was all over City. Like even
I saw Liverpool taking this one, but it just didn't happen. Can we quickly just touch on that team, that elephant that's sitting on top of the log right now?
No, Title, we know about the elephant. There's no need to touch on it. I say we just let nature take its course. Yeah. We all know about the elephant. Let's just. I was actually watching this game with an Arsenal fan, right?
Disrespectful, man.
My cousin is an Arsenal fan, and his wife is now learning about football, so she's also naturally becoming an Arsenal fan. And they were all, when it was a draw, they were all like shouting, "Yes, it's a draw! Yes, it's a draw!" I look at my cousin, and I'm like, "But just, you know what? Tell your wife about the elephant." And then now he's silent after that.
Now their anxiety is up. They were confident in third because they wanted to sneak in at the end.
Yeah.
Now
they put a target on themselves.
Leading is so difficult, guys. It's 100%. So difficult to lead.
Because
but I think when are they playing City? They're playing City one of the days.
It's 3 weeks. Yeah. It's 3 weeks. It's three.
Yeah,
what's the word I'm looking for? It's 3 chronologic weeks, but it's only 1 game week because there's a blank and then there's the
Ellison doesn't look like he's gonna make that trip. But anyway, let's wait and see. The one thing we know is that
Ortega was that bad, to be honest.
No,
I don't think Ortega was that bad. He just looks a bit chonky. Like, he shouldn't have had the pie in the morning. But I mean, I can't really be one to talk. I've had a few pies in my life.
Hey, pies are life. Pies are life. Don't hate on pies. Pies are
lifesavers.
Yeah, they are lifesavers, man.
I think as far as backup keepers, Liverpool and City have recruited well. I mean,
Chelsea
you
also.
forgot that Ellison
came from our academy. We didn't buy him. He's straight from the academy.
That's fine. There was recruitment at some point that took place for Keller. He didn't just grow naturally into a Liverpool player. He was taken from somewhere. So
I think he joined as a kid.
Yeah,
he was actually he joined as a midfielder. He played as a midfielder in lighty years.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he developed obviously into a keeper, and that's why Klopp wasn't too concerned when he was taking the penalty because he knew he had the technique.
Yeah, you see, like those types of players, you need them. This is why Klopp trusts him with the Carabao Cup. Doesn't have a problem. Like Alisson hasn't played a Carabao Cup match in years now. Years, literally.
He did play last season because Cueva was injured. But no, I take your point. He did. He played last season. It might have been FA Cup, but he played cup games last season because Cueva got injured.
Yeah, in Carabao Cup he doesn't play.
He didn't. At all. Okay, see, I didn't even know that.
Yeah, he and Klopp even said it in his presser because remember that was the one where Kepa hit a rugby shot and Kelleher scored, and then he said, and Klopp said, "This is why I trust him in these cup games. I don't need to play Alisson at all. He's played every single one of these games." Saved.
Yeah, that season he played all. I think Alisson probably played the first round that season, but he played the rest. Cueva played the rest.
Yeah, so it's one of those things where you understand why there's faith. Whereas at Chelsea we don't even know if we can trust our number one.
Nah, don't say that. Chelsea has actually
your number 2 goalkeeper is not a bad keeper though.
What's his name? Our number 2 goalkeeper?
What's his name? The guy that played against us.
Petrovic.
Yeah, he's not bad.
That's our number 1 technically.
No, your number 1 is that Spanish kid. What's his name? Sanchez.
Nah, Sanchez has been fit for months now. He hasn't been playing.
Are you for real?
My favorite was...
No, man. Sanchez is still, he hasn't fully recovered.
Has he not fully recovered? But I think Petrovic just needs the spot. I think Petrovic...
Have a look at him on Fantasy League. Try and thingy. It still says return date unknown.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
But he was fit and played.
No,
but not
he was dressed in CVs, remember, that other weekend when they showed them with him and Reece James.
Oh, yes, you're right.
Yeah.
Before we move on, can we just give McAllister his flowers?
Oh,
because
gosh,
how do you run a midfield with Kevin De Bruyne and Rodri? How do you do that? Okay, fine. Kevin was not really playing that game. When they subbed Kevin off, they should have subbed Haaland off as well because he didn't do anything after that.
But I want to say, for Liverpool, it was, for me, the anchor was the most important one. I think McAllister and Szoboszlai played great support to Endo.
Endo was amazing.
Endo was the one who carried the midfield, and then they were great support for that midfield, and they really dominated City's defense as well. I think Szoboszlai needs to come back to being more threatening around the box. I feel like his presence wasn't felt in the box enough. He could have been a goal threat in that game. There was enough space.
He had and I was gonna get to another point, but before I get to that, he had a chance that he should have scored.
And he knows it.
Yes.
He knows it. We all know it. He should have put that one away.
But he needs to be present in those places, because as a midfielder, it's unfortunate because as a midfielder, if you miss a big chance, it might be the only chance you get in the game.
Yep.
But if your team is dominating, then you need to place yourself in those positions more continuously so that you can get your lick back for that miss.
Look at Declan Rice. Declan Rice has scored the most number of goals he's ever scored
because Jorginho is playing in his position, and he's been told not to play in the build-up. Jorginho is the one playing pivot, and I've always said Declan Rice is not a 6, he's an 8. He's playing 8. He's now going into the box. He's heading balls. He's getting, because it's much easier to use his physique. They don't have a striker. He can use his physique for exactly that. He plays like a striker. And no one is picking up Declan Rice. No one.
And as well, Onke, he's also very mobile, bruh.
Yeah, for someone of that size. Fuck.
Yeah, he's fucking mobile, bro. That guy can move, bruh. Like, he's elegant. Yeah.
The other thing is, the way he moves also makes you feel like nothing is happening here until something happens. So that's the thing. It doesn't look like he's busy. It's the same as Kai Havertz. Kai Havertz doesn't look like he's busy.
Yep.
But Kai Havertz will cover ground. Like he's going to be one of the people that covers the most ground.
You know of one great player that had mastered that whole art of being was it Ozil? He was one of those players where he just appears like he's not in the game.
Yeah.
And then
suddenly he is the game.
Suddenly he is the game.
Yes. I like those players. Actually,
I don't know who's telling lies, guys, but yeah. Who should reckon that one of you is telling lies?
The one player, though, that I feel like mastered that ability, it's not Messi, because Messi is a cheat. I don't like comparing him when it comes to these things. It's Sergio Busquets.
Yep.
Sergio Busquets looked like Xabi Alonso was the one who pioneered this, by the way, where you could never see that he was all over the place, but you always found him everywhere. Sergio Busquets was that.
I mean, you kind of also got to give a shout out to Pirlo, who was also like ridiculously good at that.
But Pirlo had destroyers. He always played with a destroyer. Yeah. So he played with a Gattuso.
He played with the destroyers in front of him, and he would operate in that like half space between the centre back and where you would expect your destroyer to be. Yes. And he would cover a lot of ground there because he would still pop up in the 10th position.
Yeah.
Hey, we've had so much football, guys. Hey, where are we gonna find these players? Where are we gonna find the next one?
Make them.
That's true. I mean,
no one can make a Sergio Busquets, my man. You have to have that ability. You see, he never bulked up. He never needed to.
Yep.
He was so silky with his touch. You could never frazzle him. You could never pressure him. He was so comfortable on the ball. You know, always ran the game flawlessly, easily.
I would actually argue.
Is a famous quote. You know, like he's that guy. Rodri is an archetype of the type of player Busquets was. He just doesn't have that flair Busquets had. And Busquets,
but he has some strength and some
No, he has strength.
He has some more physicality to him. Yes. I would argue, and not on the same level, but I would argue that McAllister has some of it too, but just obviously not on that level, right?
Yeah,
he cannot replicate it.
Yeah, with McAllister,
as consistently and of that level. And another person is Gini Wijnaldum had it. In fact, I'm pretty sure that was Gini Wijnaldum's only skill, pretty much, where he always made the right decision. He covered a lot of ground, but you could see that he covered the ground. It's not like Busquets who covered the ground and you don't really notice it.
Gini was a workhorse. Gini was like Henderson. He was a workhorse. Even Fabinho was a workhorse. The way Liverpool plays doesn't allow you to have a midfielder like that, because even Endo stands out. You can't have a midfielder that doesn't stick out in the Liverpool system, because you have to cover so much ground with the ball, without the ball, to cover and all of that. So you can actually see people what they're doing and the work that they're doing, because everyone.
Which is why I cannot wait for the season to end, and Mr. Klopp packs up his bags and he bon voyage. Because I feel sorry for whoever is coming up next.
And then the very guy that Onke said started this whole trend, Xabi Alonso, comes in.
They were quick to run to get Michael Edwards back, which I think is very important. Very, very important. You know, and what? Hey, Trishu
who can
and Mino,
drop deep
my word.
and be composed enough to turn and carry. That point is literally why I wanted the McAllister signing. Go back to last year after the World Cup and watch one of the videos. I said that currently the best player in the world at that is Pedri, and the best player in the league at that is McAllister. That little turn, receiving the ball and pivoting, he is so good at that. It's unbelievable, and it's such an underrated
You know, the irritating part, Onke, is this. X, whenever he speaks on current players, he would always talk about his players, like Man United players. Shivar does the same thing. When he speaks of like good players, he speaks of his players.
About Liverpool players.
And then Trishul comes in, tells us about his Man United players. And then we have to speak about historically. We had Makelele, we had Hazard, we had fucking irritating.
I don't think we have bad players. You know what's sad, Sihle? I don't think we have bad players. I don't think we don't have the players that can compete and have a comparison to the players that are being discussed. What I think is our team is coached so bad that it's unfair on those players to put them into these conversations. Not for any other reason, but because they're in such a bad situation. Just like Kobe Mino himself. You know, he is in such a bad situation that if you want to place him into these conversations, it's unfair. Because if I say to you, the pivot of McAllister and Caicedo was one of the best midfield pivots in the league last season, you're going to say, of course it was. So what has happened? Caicedo went to a horrible coaching situation, and McAllister went to an upgrade at the coaching position. And look what McAllister looks like. Look what Caicedo looks like. Caicedo has had to basically grind himself to become a destroyer instead of a playmaking or a deep-lying playmaker that he was last season, where he was finding Mitoma on runs and Solimarch on runs last season. This season, he's having to, he doesn't even know where he's going. And so that's a problem in that team, where we're not having greatest coaching. I watched Kyle Walker's interview last week on some podcast, and Kyle Walker was talking about Spurs and the difference between Spurs and City. And it's like he went from Spurs, that was about regiment, where Poch is about running. You know, you run every day. You have to clock a certain whatever threshold for your running. It's about working on your physique and things like that. That's why Harry Kane was getting muscle injuries. By the way, you have to clock a certain thing and all of that. He goes to City, and Pep is like, we think here. Here, football starts here in the mind. Then you translate it physically. So when I'm working with you, I'm not working on your physique. You're a professional athlete. There's physios. You will do professional work as far as getting your physique where it needs to be. But the main focus is you thinking the type of football I want you to play. That's exactly what you see at Liverpool. So the work rate matches the cerebral part of the tactics. At Chelsea, all the focus is on work hard, keep working, and you see it with our injuries.
And that's why the best player that everyone seems to be talking about right now is
Gallagher. Who does that naturally?
He runs the whole match, and
that's exactly what he does.
Have you seen the amount of kilometers that he did?
Mason Mount would have been great for this team. You know why? He runs. Kai Havertz.
What's going on with him, by the way?
You know why? He runs. but
just show where's Mason Mount.
Don't ask Mason Mount, man. Don't ask us nonsense, man.
Hey, bro, I saw a headline, not a headline, but a retweet that said Malaysia must be on protective. What is that thing, man? When a person
protective custody.
No, witness protection.
Witness protection
for snitching on who's that Ajax player who was who's this guy? Quincy Promise.
Yeah.
Because they looked at his history, the last tweet he posted, and then the last tweet he replied to. I saw that.
Yes. Like Malaysia has gone. Like he's
disappeared.
He's nowhere to be found. Nowhere. He's in protective custody, that man.
Yeah.
That man is in witness protection.
Let's call it, gents. It was a good venting session. I'm just giving it 8 minutes, and then I know my team against Newcastle. A game that we should.
How do you guys feel about Newcastle, right?
Quickly,
guy left with Jones and De Gea.
I just like sneak that in there.
How do you guys feel about Newcastle? Because I was telling Olsen that like Newcastle are on the up and you guys are not so much on the up, but I remember Newcastle beating like the best Chelsea sides. Like you guys would go there on like a 10-game winning run and get Demba Ba, and then you buy Demba Ba, and then you go there, and then now it's Papi Cisse, Hatimbit. Like there's always Newcastle is like your bogey team.
It was at St. James though. It was at St. James. At the Bridge, they've only had one win in the last 28. Okay. Yeah, so at St. James, they were a hoodoo team. Away at St. James, they always messed us up. I don't know where. It's like Crystal Palace as well. They used to mess us up when we played at their ground.
Weren't they also one of the teams that beat you in that Jose season where you got like considered like 15 goals a whole season? Didn't Newcastle score like 5 of them or something?
No, that season we lost to one team. We were almost invincible that season. We lost to one team that season.
Who did you lose to?
I don't remember. We lost to
Man United.
I don't know. No, we lost one game. Literally lost one game.
We were 4 or 5, right?
I think we lost. Yeah, I think we lost towards the end of the season as well, like March, April. That's when we lost. We were almost invincible that season.
But I don't know if you guys remember when Eddie Howe was announced as the Newcastle manager, and I said give him 18 months, and the team's aspirations would far. What's the word? The team's aspiration will be ahead of him, and he's going to be behind. I think we are at that point where
yes.
they're not flexing their muscle. I understand there's financial fair play. They're not playing the best of football. They've got like games that they show up and games that they don't show up. And yeah, he came in with this whole energy and he chose right with the players and whatnot. But I do think he's at the point where the board is looking for a manager.
Yeah, I mean, look, Newcastle is 4 points away from us. They're in 10th. So we're not.
So you guys will win this game.
Even if we win, we're not going to
you never know with us.
Even if we win, we're not going to be 10th. We're in 11th. We are chilling in 11th now. Now it's a race to 40 points. Now it's the race to 40 points.
Yeah, you guys lost 2-0 at Old Trafford.
You guys lost to us. You guys suck.
Yeah, it was 2-0 at
Hey
Old
guys,
Trafford.
I'm calling it. You guys have fun. It was good. I don't know. You can continue the episode. I'll watch.
Match. Score prediction.
Okay, I say Chelsea 2-0.
2-0 Chelsea. I'm gonna have to go with the Newcastle win, guys. Actually, no. I'm gonna go with the 0-0. I'm gonna go with a boring 0-0.
Please don't do that to us on a Monday night with the 10 o'clock kickoff.
We have to sit until 12.
You can sleep at Hupperstead. It's fine.
I'm saying we're taking this one. 3-1. They've got a goal in them.
Yeah, I also feel like it's gonna be one of those games that sort of save Poch. So I see a 3-1 Chelsea.
Thank you. All right, guys, let's call it. It was good. We'll try again next week.
Cheers, gents.
Trishul has just said 3-0 to Newcastle.
Yo.
Trishul, I'm so sad. I would actually appreciate that that scoreline. Like, people don't understand. I'm over this coach, man. Like, I'm over this new owners. But it's fine. Chelsea rent for next week. I'm saving it.
Guys, take it easy. And guys, thanks for watching with us. Like, subscribe, comment, share. You know what to do. Cheers. It's been good.
Cheers.
Peace.